Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEB Reviews, and it's time to take a look at the new studio album from Maroon 5, Red Pill Blues. Let's get to it. Man, Maroon 5 has really lost it. I mean, everything that people loved about them and everything that made them original and made them stand out is just gone anymore. This whole album is just following trends, whether it's hip hop stylistic choices where that's not really their style, and just very minimalistic sounds. It really is following trends and refuses to try to set trends. And that's the biggest problem with this album. I mean, yes, there are a plethora of problems. I mean, in almost every aspect, there's something wrong. But if they had just taken a leap and tried to create something original and new, it could have ended up coming out decent. But they didn't. It sounds like the most generic pop album from a band that actually has had a lot of potential and was doing really good stuff. I mean, Songs About Jane is honestly a very great album, and it's sad to say that they've just kind of lost everything that made them so good, and it's really unfortunate. And that this album just really lets down the listener. I mean, I know that they had gone for a much more poppier sound, but now they have gone full on only trying to pander to mainstream media, and just they seem like all they're caring about is their sales and just listens, and they're not trying to give anything to those fans that have stayed with them for this long. It's just a really rough album. It sounds unfinished and just in general not very good. I mean, there's excessive repetition, and some songs just generally never take off. I mean, it'll be the same beat over and over and over in the verse and the chorus in some songs, and it never really just soars. You always think, oh, this is the time that it's going to be a really, like, the band will come in and the lead and Adam Levine will come in and it'll just really come together well, but it just never takes off. It just stays very neutral and very flat, and it really does get hard to listen to on the first listen, and even on, I mean, especially on repeated listens. I mean, this is a band that currently has 7 members, and you could only really hear maybe 3 or 4 at most. I mean, you have the singer Adam Levine, and then you hear some maybe keyboards, maybe a very slight bass guitar, but even then it's usually electronic bass, so some kind of bass keyboard or something, and then drums and maybe guitar. But in general, there's hardly ever a song that you could hear why there's 7 members. There's not very many extra instruments. It's very minimalistic, and typically it's just a beat that goes over and over and over. And nowhere does this stand out more than the final track, Closure. It is an 11-minute and 30-second song. That is huge. And when I saw that, I got really excited because I was like, I'm a fan of progressive music, and I really thought that this could be something that would be interesting, that they'd try to do a long, like, instrumental, and it could end up being actually pretty interesting. But it doesn't. The whole song, the beat just continues. That same riff just keeps on going, and it never stops. It's the same melody over and over and over. And maybe every now and then there's a little lick that's thrown in from a guitar or a keyboard or even a saxophone, I think, comes in. And it sounds alright, but 11-minute and 30-second for a jam song is way too long. And honestly, how I compare it is it sounds like a song that they play live and wanted to expand it, which honestly I support fully. And even on this album, I would support if it was an alright song. But it comes across as some mediocre and shy musicians that are trying to do it because they sound like they're not confident enough to try to do some crazy solos, so it's just a little lick, and then they go back to the melody. And that's the biggest problem, and it never takes off. And after about maybe 2 minutes, Adam Levine's vocals are gone completely. So this song is primarily just a repeated melody that's over and over and over and over, and it never stops, and there's never really any variation. Yes, like I said, every now and then there's a lick or some disorganized sounds coming from multiple instruments, but in general, they keep going back to that melody, and it never ends. I was really hopeful for that song. I thought it'd be really good, but there's nothing to it. There's no substance. There's no reason that anyone would ever listen to it a second time, let alone the whole way through the first time. in the lyric department, there's really no good lyrics. I mean, yes, this is a pop album. It's to be expected that there's not like some deep emotional lyrics, but really, these lyrics just are either repetitive, unnecessary, or just plain dumb and not very good at all. I mean, they are very simplistic pop lyrics, and it's really unfortunate. Now, yes, Adam Levine is a very good vocalist in my opinion. I mean, he has a very good range, and I think he can do a lot with his voice. I don't think he's the best of all time. He does not have that kind of power, but he does have a very nice range and can do a lot with his voice. And it's really unfortunate because none of these songs really let him do too much because they're so minimalistic. Most of them he kind of has to hold back, and I don't think holding back is really his style. And it really, with the lyrics, he's not given much emotion to work with, and even he doesn't even have a band to work with. I mean, the whole band is mainly absent. I mean, there's no real guitars, no real drums. I mean, the drums are there, but they're probably electronic, or in some songs they're just very muted, and it's just he doesn't have much to support him. And this is definitely all about Adam Levine. I mean, looking at the songwriter credits, I mean, it's always Adam Levine and a bunch of other artists or songwriters. My apologies. It's never Maroon 5, which is something that they would always have. It was always Maroon 5 wrote this song. Now it's Adam Levine. And this really is, I mean, I know a lot of people have said this, but it really is the Adam Levine experience. This is all about Adam Levine. And he's writing his music. The band's just there along for the ride. And it's really honestly offensive that they try to market this kind of stuff because it really is so bad. I mean, this is the worst album that I've heard all year. It's genuinely awful because there's no redeeming qualities. I mean, I know you can't expect much from pop lyrics, but you've got to expect something, and there's nothing in these pop lyrics, and there's just repetitive songs. There's no redeeming qualities. The production usually isn't even really that crisp or clear or anything that would really support the song, and it's just so repetitive and so bland and so boring that it starts to become offensive that this was what they were trying to sell to fans. I mean, with like Cold with featuring Future, which is on the deluxe edition, which I'm not rating this album based off of, I'm only doing the standard edition. That song at least had a little bounce in it, and Adam Levine was at least able to do some stuff with his voice. Most of these songs, he doesn't get to do anything. What Lovers Do, honestly, is not that awful of a song. It is probably one of the better ones. I'm not really a fan of it, but it definitely is a little more tolerable than some of the rest. It can be listened to, and Adam Levine's actually able to do some stuff with his voice. And the lyrics, while, again, repetitive, there's actually some diversity in them, so it's an alright song. Help Me Out sounds interesting. I mean, I really like the weird organy sounds that are used for the keys. It's very interesting, but by the time the song's over, you're tired of that same riff and that same melody, and it gets old, as do all these songs. This is an album that I don't think should be revisited. I mean, I've listened to it multiple times, and there's no warming up to it. It really, genuinely is a very, very bad album. I mean, some could say that I'm being a little too harsh, but honestly, it's offensive that it's trying to be marketed and sold by such a big band that had such prowess and such big songs that they would try to sell something that is a complete cop-out and honestly did not do much at all. I mean, look at the album cover. No, I will not rate the album based on the album cover, but that is awful. It's just each of the band members with a Snapchat filter. That was the most lazy and awful album cover I've seen in a long time. It's genuinely a very bad album. I know that there are some redeeming qualities for some people, but when I listen to it, every aspect that I can think of is just bad. Repetition, lyrics, vocals, even from a decent vocalist, the instrumentation, everything. It's just bad. It's really hard to listen to, and I'm gonna have to give this album a 2 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a lot. What did you guys think of this album? Are you in the same boat as me, or do you guys favor it a little bit more? Please let me know down in the comments. It really means a lot that you watch my videos. Give me any suggestions for any upcoming albums that you want me to check out. But besides that, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys later.